Speaking on the sidelines of Gastech 2023 in Singapore about LNG demand was Martin Houston, the co-founder and vice chairman of Tellurian.
Martin, it's great to see you. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you enjoying Gastech so far?
I've loved it, but I always love it, so that's an easy answer. I've been coming to Gastech for as long as I can remember, many places, many different contexts for it, but I don't think I've been to one where there is so much energy around the debate around energy. And it's been great to get involved in it, and there's a lot of people here. They're the right people, having good conversations, and I'm all over it.
Would you say the energy on the ground and the intention to action is any different to last year?
It is, and I think the reason for that is that the pendulum is swinging back in terms of the acceptability of certainly gas in the fuel mix. Whereas a year ago, I think there was this sort of notion that gas was being pushed into the blue beyond. And I think we're back. And, I can't stress it more powerfully than I did a panel I was chairing at a round table I've just been on, and on the latter I talked about not the golden age of gas, but the platinum age of gas. This is our moment.
Let me ask you about that. The panel that you were moderating, the strategic session, was titled, "What is the outlook for LNG demand across Asia?" Did the panel reach consensus? Any surprises there?
I asked them a question to which they could only give one word answer at the end of the panel, and it was 2050, which of course is a seminal year for a lot of people in their climate targets and so on. 2050, is the LNG industry bigger or smaller than it is today? Universally, 6 out of 6, the answer was it's bigger. And let me go beyond that, because I also counted up, as I listened to the markets that were on my panel, how much regas capacity they think is latent, about to be constructed, required. And I totted that all up, and it came to 300 million tonnes. So we're a 400 million tonne market with 300 million tonnes of potential just in the markets I was talking to. So does that feel like a great opportunity or what? It certainly does to me.
Absolutely. Remind us why LNG is so critical when it comes to underpinning the global energy transition.
Let's just put aside the clean, low carbon benefits of gas, because there's plenty of debate around that. It's important because it's a durable long-term fuel, and it is accessible to global markets through LNG. LNG isn't it's not the raison d'etre itself. LNG is the means by which you transport natural gas to other markets. It's a means to an end rather than the end in itself. So it's available, it's affordable, it's clean, and it alleviates not only it has the opportunity to alleviate long-term energy poverty, in developed markets, long-term energy security, which has been certainly something that's been a bit of a crisis of late, as we've all noticed, and affordability. So, for me, available, affordable, clean, the famous sort of trilemma of gas has been played out, right in front of us today.
Martin, let me get your take on coal, because it's a huge concern. In the ASEAN region, we're continuing to see plants come online, generation and use of it. Its affordability is key here. We understand the challenges there and the reasons behind that, but what else could be done? It's not as simple as saying retire the plants or just use gas.
We all know that if we retired all coal and replaced it with gas, we'd get to probably half of the solution we're looking for, and which surrounds discussions in a conference like this. But it's not as simple as that. And it's not as simple as that for a number of reasons. One, because it's cheap and available in many of these markets. Two, jobs hang off coal, the coal industry, and not in all markets, but certainly in some of the developing ones. And three, there's less volatility around the pricing. I mean, we've seen huge volatility in the gas pricing in the last 12 months, certainly last 18 months as well. Coal doesn't have that. Now, there's another slightly more Machiavellian view about this, which is that the coal industry is an easy industry to switch off at the right moment. You can turn the lights off when you're ready with coal. The argument is if you invest in long-term infrastructure for gas, that it's much more difficult to shut it down. Therefore, let's use coal in the interim and we don't have the problem of long-term infrastructure. The weakness in that argument, so the way it falls down, is we're in 2023, 2050 the industry is still growing. So the notion that gas is going to expire, that infrastructure isn't going to run its full 20 or 30 year term, is fanciful. So we're going to have to dispel some of these arguments, but we can't get away from the fact that in some economies cheap coal is a lifeline, because energy is the means to dragging poverty into the middle class. And so we have to recognise that in the West, and we have to address it.
Lastly, just before I let you go, the next time I see you, Martin, will no doubt be in Abu Dhabi at ADIPEC and then at COP28. What are you expecting as outcomes from both of those events?
I think to some extent ADIPEC will be a little bit of a dry run for COP28, not completely, but I think some of the arguments will be rehearsed, and I think some of the discussions will start to pre-wire what happens in COP28. But more than that, I think it's much more than just COP28. It really has become a tour de force in the energy world as the place to be, and I expect no less in October.
It's great to see you. Thank you again for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
We very much hope that you enjoyed that interview. To find more of its kind, you can go to YouTube or follow us on LinkedIn. You will also find full coverage of Gastech 2023 from Singapore at gastechevents.com. Until we meet again, take care and goodbye.